Hello, I am Christian Purvis Aldrich, the Chair of Faculty Promotions, and today I will be giving you an overview introduction to the Faculty Evaluation Repository. I'm going to explain how we came up with this idea, where you can find yours, user roles in a Blackboard organization and how that affects the functionality. We'll take a quick tour of repository contents, and then I want to walk you through FPAR submission so you can get an idea for what life is going to be like. We're working on creating videos and job aids over the next year. They'll include completion and submission of evaluation materials in each of the different areas, using Gradebook and MyGrades for due dates and feedback, as well as supervisor-specific training. So the Faculty Evaluation Repository is essentially a digital file cabinet housed in Blackboard for faculty-owned evaluation material. The development goals of the Senate Professional Standards Committee were to give faculty, direct supervisors, and deans a place to store and access records over time. We wanted to use a platform that faculty and supervisors are familiar with and CTL can support. Bonus points for one that we didn't have to pay any money for or give anybody extra special training for. One of our main goals was to consolidate my CWI promotion and Senate materials, as well as make them easier to update, because those have currently been housed in my CWI in separate committee sites. We want a place where current handbooks can be found, updated forms, directions and tips, examples, training videos, and job aids. So most repositories are separate Blackboard organizations found on the Blackboard landing page, and we'll look at one of those a little bit later in this video. Some repositories were added to existing orgs and will be found in the left-hand navigation menu. So if you have a question about where to find your repository, check with your direct supervisor because they'll be able to help you out. One of the most important concepts to grasp are the roles in the Faculty Evaluation Repository. Since repositories are Blackboard organizations and not classrooms, you're going to notice some differences. In building the general concept, we used functions you may be familiar with in your classrooms, but most faculty will participate as a student user in these organizations. Supervisors will be functioning as a teacher. What I'm calling the student role, which is called a participant in Blackboard organization speak, that belongs to faculty. So faculty will submit evaluation materials as assignments, leave comments for their supervisor, check status of submissions in MyGrades, and keep in mind that you will only be able to see your own submissions. The teacher role, which is called a leader in a Blackboard org, belongs to deans, chairs, direct supervisors, and administrative assistants. Some differences that you'll see in the teacher role is the supervisor documents area is only accessible to leaders. You'll be able to set due dates, email participants, post announcements, and grade submissions to clarify the completion status of an evaluation. And I'll cover what I mean by grading in a minute. Before we jump into touring an actual live repository, I want to show you the different areas that you're going to encounter. The first one is the directions and information area, and that's a catch-all. It has materials that link out to all the different evaluation areas. This is where we've put the promotion materials that used to live in my CWI. So if you have questions about the evaluation handbooks, the trainings, ranked documents, the quiz that you need to take, that's all here in this folder. The FPAR area we're going to look at in greater detail. The peer observation area, you're welcome to look around, but it's under construction because that policy is under review by Faculty Senate currently. There's an area for the summative evaluation, another one for the dean evaluation, and as chair of faculty promotion, I get questions about the dean evaluation. So here's a quick note. We're notifying faculty when they qualify for the dean evaluation. So for most of you, this area is not something you need to check out right away. Supervisor documents is, a for their eyes only situation. I did want to leave a quick reminder that there's no area for strength-based coaching because that process is owned by human resources. So that's the one. Um, that's the one. It's not evaluative, but that's you won't find it here. We'll just say that. I think it's time for us to jump into our live tour of a repository. Let's see what we've got here. When we come to the landing page, this is my landing page, and in the middle here are my organizations. We're going to check out the visual and performing arts because look, I'm a participant and I want to show you the faculty view. At the top, you're seeing the areas that we just covered in those slides. If you keep scrolling, down here in the bottom, you find folders with similar names, right? Directions and information, FPAR, peer observation. And this is where we've actually housed all of the material that links back up to these snazzy looking areas up here, which are essentially clickable tables of contents. Let's see. Let's check out, let's just jump into the FPAR and I'll show you the various elements that you're going to find in each of these areas. If it's an evaluation area like the FPAR, at the top you're going to see an important dates and action required graphic that lets quick reminders of when things are due and what will happen at those moments. Hang on. Then there's the contents of the folder, and these are fairly consistent. We've tried to make them as consistent as possible across the different areas. So at the top, you'll find a blank form. Then you will find directions. You will find some examples. There's an area called additional directions and documents. That's essentially a catch-all for all of the material in the FPAR area. And then you have these different submission areas that let you know when things are due. And so we're going to be looking at this one, which is Spring 22 FPAR when we get down there, and I'll show you what a submission looks like. So the first thing is the blank form, and this is what you can download. And when you get to start your new FPAR at the beginning of a summative evaluation cycle, if you're really sick of your old PDF version and don't want to wait till the end of your summative evaluation cycle, you're welcome to start using this Word version anytime you want. But it's not required yet. This next document is one that Andrea Squena came up with, and I love it. I love it. What it does is it breaks down step by step what happens in completing a particular type of evaluation. So you have at the top, right, we have goal setting, how often that happens and when, what happens when you update your FPAR, and the finalizing of the FPAR with your summative evaluation cycle. So this next part, I'm going to cover this in an upcoming video because it's too complex to cover right now. But essentially, what we're looking at on the screen right now are the types of feedback a faculty member will receive in gradebook once their supervisor has looked at their draft or version of their FPAR. So they may see that they may get a message from their supervisor that their goals need revision, or yay, your goals are set. Maybe your activities need to be revised. You may get a notice that your FPAR has been reviewed and one that it's finalized, done, check. So again, I'll go over how this is actually going to function in a later video. We have a folder with FPAR examples, and I've been trying to collect these from willing volunteers who are sharing what it looks like to create an FPAR in their area. So currently we have diesel tech, we have art, we have English, we have math. I'm always happy to add more. So if you have one you're willing to share, please let me know. Here's this additional directions and document areas. And it's a catch-all. It's also our way of being able from the outside of your repository to add more material as we develop it, because uh, we can add more embedded documents here and give you access to updated information that way. I'm going to jump into this assignment and I'll show you what it looks like to submit one. Here we go. So this is, of course, not the first time I have tried to create this video. So there's already one loaded here. I'm going to hit Start New because this is set to multiple submissions. And we can see once we click in here that, ta-da, it's due February 15th. It's worth 5 points, which is not a scale of awesomeness. That's just the number of options that your supervisor has to select in giving you that feedback that we looked at earlier, right? So a 2 might be your goals need to be revised, for instance. So don't sweat. You're not being graded, but that's what we needed to put in to create the schemas. One option you have is to write the submission, but for an FPAR, it's way too complex of a document to write it all in. Clearly, it's a form. So we're going to be browsing our local files, which we'll do in a second. But I want to show you this comment box. You probably have gotten these from students if you're a faculty member. And this is where your student can leave a question. I'm going to leave one here. Do I need to expand the scope description of my committee X? I'm going to leave that comment and I'm going to browse here. Desktop, here's my sample FPAR. That's all I have to do. If I change my mind, right? Do not attach. This is essentially you're getting to see what students do if you haven't ever experienced that. Then I hit submit. And ta-da, here's my second attempt 2. So here's one of the things that I really think is very cool about the repository is that I can go back, right, and look at previous attempts, right? Look at earlier versions that I've submitted, see what comments I left. I'm loving it a lot. So now it's in there. Here's my comment to my question to my supervisor. And it's getting loaded in there. There it is. All done. Now, once my supervisor has had a chance to look at that I will be able to come in here and click My Grades and get that feedback, right? So in the grading, I'll get a little message about how I'm doing with my project. And also, right, some of the due dates we've already put in here, your supervisor can add more. There are lots of functions that are evolving, and we will be letting you know one by one as we develop them. I do want to point out that this video is not meant to give you a full training on how to create an awesome FPAR. This is just a quick walkthrough, and I promise there's more coming in the future. And CTL will be helping us develop job aids as well. So there's lots more to come, and I'll be speaking to you soon. Thank you for joining me.